Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 7th live interview of the SSI Live Cosmic Conversations interview series. My name is Sophia, and I am one of the science communication interns here at Cal Academy. In this series, we'll be interviewing a different member of our SSI cohort every episode. SSI stands for Summer Systematic Institute, a research experience for undergrads, or REU, funded by the National Science Foundation. All of the interns that Nia and I will be interviewing work directly with curators or researchers on different research projects, from plants to people to arachnids. Feel free to leave any questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the episode. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Jordyn, visiting us from planet Nudibranch. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jordyn. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an environmental biology major at Cal Poly Pomona. I'm from Sacramento originally. I'm here working with Dr. Terry Gosliner and Dr. Becca Johnson on nudibranch systematics.
So we're just going to jump into the first question. So can you tell us what a nudibranch is?
Yeah, so a nudibranch is what we call a gastropod mollusk, or they're commonly known as sea slugs. And they are basically, they serve as bioindicators on the health of the intertidal zone. And the intertidal zone are those tide pools that you see on the beach. They have some special antennae, and they're called rhinophores, and they use those to sense chemicals in the water, so they're really sensitive to pH, temperature. So when we see an abundance of them, or maybe not so many of them in a given area, that kind of tells us the health of the ecosystem. So it's really important to study the biodiversity of them and make sure that it's done accurately, so we have a better gauge of biodiversity on the coast.
Very cool. Is nudibranchology a thing, or are you a marine biologist? Are you an invertebrate zoologist or a marine biologist?
So I guess nudibranchs is kind of under invertebrate zoology.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm an aspiring marine biologist.
Yeah.
I don't want to really focus on one. I would like to be a generalist, more broad. But I guess it falls under marine biology. I mean, it's marine life.
Yeah.
Oh, and another fun fact, nudibranchs in Latin, it's naked gill. And so they actually don't have lungs. They breathe through their skin. And there are some that have these things called serrata. Mm-hmm. They're little tentacles that come off the mantle. And they have the digestive gland there, but they can also breathe through the serrata.
That's very cool.
Interesting.
Dang. Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about the research you're doing on nudibranchs here this summer?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll be working on, it's a subset of nudibranch called Tinellia, the genus Tinellia. It's a very widespread genus. You can find Tinellia nudibranchs in the brackish waters of Norway, which just means low salinity water. You can find them on the NorCal coast. You can find them in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
So they're very kind of all over the place. Mm-hmm. And so my job is basically to kind of reorganize the Tinellia genus. We have a couple new species, or potential species, we're not sure yet, that I'm hoping to work into the tree. And then with that, I also hope to do some work in the biogeography department and kind of look at how this Tinellia genus is getting from one place to the next, how it could adapt so easily. Just I think tracking the adaptations that they have is really interesting, just because there are some that are parasitic and they're living in the stomachs of these worms, and then there are some that are just checking and maintaining algal populations. So it's a pretty interesting project.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what makes you think, you mentioned that there's new species, a couple of new species, what makes you think that they're a new species rather than just a variation of an existing one?
Yeah, so for nudibranchs it's pretty hard. I honestly, so the one I found, which is potentially new, I found it in Panama, and I was with Dr. Angel Valdez of Cal Poly Pomona. He told me he thinks it's a new species. Okay. And we can kind of tell just based on the morphology of it. They all have some might have a band on its head, or they might have different colored serrata versus for example, we have, I think, Tinellia adspersa. It has different serrata than maybe a different species of Tinellia. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. So they look differently.
Yeah, but what we really can do to actually speciate something is internal morphology. The reproductive system is very important in determining if it's a new species or not.
Okay, so does that mean if it's a new species, they can't they can't breed with the other one?
Yeah, pretty much. But also another fun fact, nudibranchs are simultaneous hermaphrodites, so they have both female and male reproductive parts, which is interesting.
That's cool.
But yeah, so they can't they can't interbreed, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. So it sounds like that sounds really interesting. What do you feel like inspired you to pursue science in the beginning?
I think in high school I was not even on the track of science. I think I didn't really see myself in like the people that were doing marine biology. Like I watched like ocean documentaries and like National Geographic, like kids magazines, but I never really saw like a Hispanic queer woman in science, and so I didn't know that was like an option. And then I went to college and I got into this marine ecology lab with Dr. Jason Smith from Cal Poly Pomona, and like the first day of field work I just jumped in and I just knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Just the beauty of it. Like we went at like sunrise. We were there at like 6 a.m. The water was beautiful. Like the sun was out. There was like sea lions like playing along like our field site. It was so gorgeous. And we just like did like a biodiversity survey, like nothing crazy.
Okay, cool.
But like just being in that atmosphere where it can have like the balance of being outside and being in a lab was really definitely inspired me, along with I think scuba diving. I did a scuba diving program at USC last summer, and that like really cemented my passion to continue like on the marine biology path.
Very cool. When you dive, like what kind of stuff are you studying under the water?
So I'm like a scientific diver, and I'm still like fairly new. Like I've only had it for a year.
Okay.
So I mainly do like biodiversity surveys, if anything, like at USC Wrigley, like sometimes we'll do like proficiency dives and do like a biodiversity survey on like the Rocky Reef, or we'll look at like man-made objects on the seafloor. Like I did that with NASA. We did like a NASA survey, and we looked at like a grid and to see like how many man-made objects were in like a given like each meter, so they could see.
Interesting.
So when NASA came in and like did their big plant and like tested like how they wanted to get to the moon or something like that, like when they removed it, they could see like how much they impacted the ecosystem.
Interesting. That's cool.
And they could compare like before and after.
Okay, to like determine like how much of a negative impact they made.
Yeah, so like those are the kind of things I do. I'm also training to be a scuba instructor, so I can pass on that like but yeah.
Very cool. So it sounds like you mentioned the genus that you're studying, how it lives in like Norway, the Philippines, here. That's crazy diverse. It sounds like this like species is super widespread. If you could go anywhere in the world to study nudibranchs, where do you think you'd want to go?
Oh my god, probably the Philippines.
Yeah,
it's like the biodiversity hotspot. Like
the
reef here at Cal Academy, it is based off of like a reef in the Philippines. And there are like divers that come in at like 1:30 every day, and they ask like how many species like do you think that are in here, like how many fish, and there's like I think hundreds of species in there, and you don't even realize it. And so I think looking at like being in a Philippine like reef,
that'd be really
scuba
cool.
diving would be probably my go-to option.
Yeah, I feel like we always learn about how like the equator, like the tropics have the most biodiversity, and you can like especially under the water.
Those are all the hot spots. It's pretty cool.
Very cool. So you mentioned too like marine biology and wanting to maybe not specifically only like focus on nudibranchs, a little bit more of like a general idea. When you think about your future career, after this internship, after college, where do you think that you want that direction to go as far as marine biology goes?
I don't know like exactly what organism. I kind of want to dabble in a little bit of everything, but like the end goal that resonates with me the most is becoming a professor. At the end of the day, I think I don't know.
Academia calls you.
Academia calls me, I guess. I don't know. I tutor at school.
Okay,
I tutor like basic biology and ecology, and like for some reason, like all my social anxiety kind of like goes away when I'm like tutoring and teaching people. And I think that's also like a really like influential aspect of like solving the climate crisis. Like education comes first, and I think there are a lot of things I didn't learn until college, which is unfortunate. But I think I just want to be a part of like passing on the information and like calling for action. So definitely professor. Would love to have my own lab. That would be like obviously a given.
Yeah.
But like the organism, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Do you feel like your experiences in this internship so far have influenced that future goal?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I think Well, for my past lab, it's my current lab at Cal Poly Pomona. It's very field based, and I have like an independent project going like a little bit in the lab. I'm looking at how pH impacts a species of brown rockweed, and that's mainly field work. And so Cal Academy kind of is broadening my skill set. So I'm in the lab like 8 hours a day. Yeah, and just like the time goes by so fast, but I think I'm actually like really enjoying like lab work. Yeah, cool. So it's definitely impacted like where I want to go. It's kind of cemented like the fact that I do want to do lab research in addition to field work. So
what do you feel like your next? So I know you're graduating next spring. Yeah. What do you feel like your next step after that is going to be to reach like this final goal?
I would like to get my PhD degree. Definitely. Yeah. I like a little gap year for a break would be preferable, but we'll see what happens. I do want to get my PhD in marine biology and then go from there. Yeah.
Yes. Very cool. So before we jump into our comment round questions, are there any questions in the chat?
There are. So first, Julia asks, what's your favorite science-themed documentary or podcast?
I'm gonna have to say Sharkpedia is my favorite. Yeah. It is a shark podcast that I listen to when I'm driving from Sacramento to LA for school, and they just talk about they focus on a different shark each podcast, and they talk about shark conservation and research, and policy making and all that good stuff. So that one's probably my favorite. I recommend to anybody. Yeah.
Okay. Julia is also asking, if you had to dress like a nudibranch, which nudibranch would you take fashion advice from?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, I'm probably gonna just go with, I don't know. I kind of like Felomar Kemphy. It's like this blue and yellow nudibranch, and it looks.
I should be a picture.
Like a fun time. It kind of is like Dory colors from Finding Nemo.
Fun.
And it says fun little spots. I wish I had a picture, but probably that one.
Okay, so Jacquez asks, if you discover a new nudibranch species, are you able to name it whatever you want?
Oh.
Yeah, so we obviously would keep the genus name. So if I was to discover a new Tinellia species, I would keep the genus. As for the second part, I definitely could name it whatever I want, but I don't think it's my choice at the end of the day. It would probably be my mentor. I do know there was one nudibranch. They named it after their pets.
That's
they
so
kept
funny.
the genus, but they named it I don't remember what it was, but it was the name of the dog. And then they added all of the species names have the female male.
Okay.
Like in Spanish. And so you just add the A to it or add the O to it, or
so
the
funny.
E or whatever.
I would assume that they would not masculinize it, Latinize it, make it a Latin name, but no.
I
That's
mean,
so funny.
Think,
oh my gosh.
Some of them just do whatever they want, which I think is fun. So, yeah.
And then we have, what is your favorite animal and why?
I think right now it's definitely a bat ray. It's definitely a bat ray. I say that just because I mentioned I was in a USC diving program last summer, and my final dive of the whole program, it was a 60-foot dive, and we were ascending up this rocky reef wall, and as I peeked over the wall, I just see this bat ray fly, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's so
the
cool.
kelp, fly through the kelp, and the sun is striking through the water and all in the blades of the kelp, and it was just like a scene I'd seen in a documentary. So that really kind of stuck with me. And they're so angelic, and they're so
they really do look like they're
beautiful.
flying.
They do. Yeah. It's very cool. So yeah.
And then we have Chantel asks, would you have or have you taken your family diving with you?
Oh.
I haven't, but I would love to. I do think my mom is watching this, so I would love to take my family diving.
Do you think they'd be down?
I don't know about that, but some convincing will happen. At least my sisters, my two little sisters, but my mom is more scared of sharks.
Which is fair.
And continuing the shark stigma going on. So maybe she won't, but
That's valid. I feel like my biggest fear is not having air.
yeah, me
Not-
too.
not That's pretty scary.
That's mine as well.
Then Jeff was asking, what is your dream retirement job?
Oh, I know. I would love to be one of those volunteers on the floor of like a museum or an aquarium where people come up to me, or
Yeah.
like I'm like narrating like the aquarium or like the dives or whatever, and they're telling us fun facts. I
That would
love
be
to be that
fun.
person.
That would be a fun gig.
Yeah, and like live in like a little cottage or something like on the side. I love that.
And then Olivia asks, what made you join that first lab at Cal Poly in the first place? And then the second question, and coolest single moment in your life.
First question, I joined the lab. Well, I was initially playing college soccer,
Okay.
like full time, and I ended up. I was asked to like put soccer over academics, which was not an option.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of looking at my options, and I just like that lab had
Mhm.
always stood out to me, and I
Nice.
had reached out like the beginning of like my freshman year, and then soccer took over, and then
Mhm.
everything got like messed up, and then I joined the lab, and like I think what really pulled me to it was just like the applications of it. I think in science it's really important for like it to be meaningful and purposeful.
Mhm.
So like behind like the science that they were doing, it was important in the long run. Like the kind of stuff they were doing was going to tell us like how healthy the ecosystem was,
Mhm.
like how biodiversity was like doing in general, rather than just like doing it.
Yeah,
to
like
just
there's
do
a
it,
so what.
You know, like doing it to publish a
Yeah.
paper.
Mhm.
There was this like a so what exactly, and it
Very
just
cool.
brought something different to my life. I'd never done like things like that before, and so it was like a really nice like change of pace.
Nice.
So, and then the single moment, coolest moment of my life.
Jeez.
um,
Right now in this interview.
this interview, coolest moment of my life. That's it.
Our final question, which is a great segue. Chantel asks, if a Charlie XCX song was a Nudibranch, what Nudie would it be?
It's definitely I forgot the name after I practiced it. It's definitely the sheep lettuce slug. I don't remember the scientific name. It's actually not a nudibranch. Nudibranch is an order. It's a different order. It's Sacoglossa order. And it photosynthesizes by itself, and
That's
it's
very
bright
cool.
green, which matches Brat perfectly. So
That's so funny.
yeah.
All right, perfect. So just like Nia said, perfect segue into our comment round, which is, what music would this sea slug listen to?
Oh my god. Okay.
So
Ready?
first up, our first sea slug is the Mulliner's Dorid. We have
Oh my
a
God.
beautiful orange cheetah print moment happening here. What music would he listen to?
Well, you said cheetah print. Now I think cheetah girls. But the first thing that came to my mind was like Carly Simon. You're so vain. I don't know why, but the color, like the orange, really kind of reminded me of fall, and that's what I listen to during fall. So I'm gonna say that one.
That's so specific.
That
Okay.
one's fun.
Next one, we have a classic Spanish shawl.
That's a good one. Like Daft Punk. I
Yeah,
think would be really fun.
they're like bright and
Like-
colorful and ready.
The Daft Punk song with Pharrell Williams. Get Lucky. That one. I like that one.
I thought we're getting specific songs and not genres.
Oh shoot, was it genre?
Be whatever you want. All right, next up,
Oh god.
we have a classic.
Yay.
Hopkins Rose.
The Barbie soundtrack.
Absolutely.
Dance the Night. That one. For sure. Yeah.
Barbie Nudibranch.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, our final Nudibranch is a branch sapsucker.
Oh whoa.
A nice slime green. Not quite bright color.
Maybe
though.
like I don't know. Do you have any ideas?
I don't know. That's
Maybe
why I'm asking you. You're the expert.
like some classical music.
I could see that. I feel like what
Claude-
are
about
the
some,
things
like,
on his back
Claude
called
Debussy?
again?
I don't. Those are Serrata.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I feel like the Serrata would like flow really nicely to some classical music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go classical music.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that is the very end of our comment round. Thank you so much, Jordyn. That wraps up today's episode of Cosmic Conversations. Thank you, Jordyn, for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. Before we end today, we'd like to encourage you to follow us on social media platforms on Instagram and Twitter at CalAcademy_SSI to learn more about science and natural history and the rest of our intern cohort along with us this summer. Tune in next Tuesday where we're going to be interviewing Mateo. Thank you for watching.
Bye.